you want to relocate to. So at eMigr8, we talk about tech-enabled pathway. We talk about opportunities, and we've had a lot of sessions in the past. Today, we're going to be speaking with someone that has gone through the global tech route. So we're focusing on global tech today, right? So if you know anybody, again, if your friends are close to you, you can just reach out to them to say, here's the link. We're talking about global tech, global talent route. We have our speaker in the house today that's going to be answering questions, sharing our journey, sharing with us the tricks, the opportunities, what she took advantage of, and what are out there that you can also take advantage of. Right. Previous edition of eMigr8 Open Days are available on YouTube with a simple search. We've had loads of speakers come talk about their journey, tell us about how to migrate, for example, to the US using the O1 visa, how to migrate to the UK using the tech-enabled visas, tech nation, startup visas. And also we've looked at Canadian, migrate to Canada, migrate to Australia. And next section, we're going to be focusing on Canada also. So you want to pay attention and look out for that. So with a simple Google search or a simple YouTube search query, you will find eMigr8 on YouTube, and you can go through and binge on our videos, go through the huge resource that we have there. They are totally free, and you can write down questions, reach out to us, join our communities if you have questions from the videos, and we're available to walk you through the journey, right? Editions that we're looking out for, like I said, the next edition we're going to be focusing on Canada, right? Following that edition, we're going to be looking at Innovator founder visa route. We're also going to be looking at technician visa route coming up within the next quarter. We'll be looking at the US O1 global talent visa, and we'll be looking at Canadian startup visa also. So you want to pay attention to our communications, our publicity materials, our channels, to know what we are talking about and who's going to be our guest, right? So it's very important, right? And also keep abreast of everything happening in our ecosystem. So we have an eMigr8 ecosystem that you want to be part of. We have LinkedIn ecosystem, we have Facebook ecosystem, we have a Telegram ecosystem. You can be part of any one of those. We're going to share the links on the chat group, and you can simply click on those links to join the conversation in those ecosystems. eMigr8, like I said, who is eMigr8? Who are we? We are a tech platform that share experiences, share knowledge to enable you relocate and settle in new tech economies, right? So tech-enabled pathway to relocation is our focus. We are not lawyers, we're not immigration experts. We're just sharing testimonials, sharing experiences, and sharing knowledge that we know, success story from people that have gone through this route, and to be able to answer some of the questions that you may have. And we are able to also coach you through the journey, right? We're able to coach you through the journey. So we are not immigration experts, we're not immigration lawyers, but we do present you with information, real-time information as it comes through the various channels, the various portals. Most of the things that we're going to be saying today are totally verifiable. You can Google, you can search the various immigration platform or the various countries platform. So for example, there's technician.io that has a lot of information about technician, right? There's uk.gov that has information about Innovator visa. So you can always go and do your own research, right? But we have coaches that can guide you, that can walk you through the various platforms, because they have experience. They've guided other people and they've gotten success stories, success results, and they too have been part of the process, and they've gotten success results also, right? So if you're interested in eMigr8, so simply www.beancom.net/eMigr8 will give you access to our portal and to join the community or a simple message to the number you can see on your screen, requesting to be part of the eMigr8 community, and you will be added to any community of your choice, whether Telegram or LinkedIn or Facebook community, and even the YouTube community, where we have loads of resource for you. Right. What is eMigr8? We help you become globally attractive at eMigr8. It's a platform that appraises you, that coaches you, that gives you enough information that makes you globally attractive. And what we do is we focus on tech profiles and tech businesses. That's our focus. So we don't talk about education. We don't talk about or art. We focus on tech profiles. So if you are a tech enthusiast, or you are a tech professional, or you run a startup, you run a tech business, right, eMigr8 is for you. If you're looking to migrate to a new economy, if you're looking to expand your business in a new economy, whether in the UK or in the US or Canada, as the case may be, eMigr8 is here for you. We can walk you through the process. We have coaches, we have businesses that have successfully migrated. We have individuals that have successfully migrated into this market, and we can plant those individuals around you and to make sure they handhold you and give you a simple, process, right? Like we always say, the visa is only a side effect of the objective. Our objective is to increase your tech profile, is to appraise your tech profile and make you desirable, right? So with the right tech profile for yourself or for your business, you will get companies and organizations reach out to you with the right tech profile. With the right tech profile, you will be allowed to migrate your business to new markets, for example. All right. So our focus is, how do we make you globally attractive? That's our focus, right? And that in itself has many fruits, one of which is relocation to those countries, right? In eMigr8, we have packages, we have services that we cover. Just in case you're wondering, where do I start from? What are the packages that eMigr8 offers? We have information sessions like this, open days, which is free, and we ask you to invite your friends who are interested in becoming globally attractive, right? We have general inquiry session where you can send us a mail or send us a WhatsApp call or join the community and ask questions, and we can answer you. We have coaching sessions and hand-holding sessions, right, where we can take a look at your journey and assist you, advise you, as the case may be. There are dedicated roadmap process for people that are, for example, you're switching careers, or you have a very busy career, you don't have the time to build your resume to the point where we can consider it globally attractive. We can design a self roadmap or a general roadmap for you and walk you through it. We also review things like the UK Global Talent Application and the endorsement review process. If you've already applied, or you're at the verge of applying and you just need a second eye to look through your documentation, we also review such application. If you didn't get the endorsement, you want to appeal the case, right? We also do endorsement review process just to make sure you're putting your best foot forward, right? As you may have guessed, we have both free services for these packages, and we also have premium services, right? So for the free services, we have sessions like this open day, which is informational and inspirational session where we come and share and give you as many information as we have. It's totally free, right? We have the eMigr8 community, which is free to join, free to participate. We have the monthly open day, which is what we are on today. It's also a free session. We have introductory videos on YouTube or on Google. It's a simple YouTube query with the word eMigr8. You would find a lot of eMigr8 video. And a simple search on YouTube, we'll link you up to eMigr8 materials that we have online. They are free, right? We have specific office hour, visa specific office hour, where a coach book it a short session with a coach, and you can ask them any question and they will walk you through. And also we have short inquiry session, which is limited to one inquiry session per person for about 10 minutes. This is free, right? So if you're interested, they're all free packages for these sessions. If you're interested, bincom.net/eMigr8 is where you want to go. There's a short form for 3 questions just to know who you are, what exactly you are seeking, so that we can direct you appropriately. All right. And we also have the premium package, and this is for people that need special assistance. Maybe they have time constraint, you have time constraint, you are pressed for time, or you have a busy schedule and you want to work closely with a coach, right? We have the eMigr8 circle, the premium circle also, which you can be part of. We have personalized coaching service for 30 to 1 hour, where we take your questions and provide as much answers as we have, right? We have standard packages, which we can share with you, right, that best tailored to your circumstances, to your unique circumstance on the time that you have free. And then we have eMigr8 premium services, full-fledged, where we can put you on an eMigr8 program that runs for 1 to 2 years to build you to a place where, especially for beginners or intermediary in the tech space, right, this eMigr8 premium service suits that portfolio. So if you're a beginner or you're intermediary and you're trying to build your resume or your portfolio to the point where it is globally attractive, we have a 1 to 2 year program that you can take advantage of. And also we have custom service just build around your uniqueness and what you're looking out for. All right. So again, eMigr8, bincom.net/eMigr8. Just fill a short form, your name, your email and phone number, and what exactly you are looking out for, and we'll reach out to you and reach out to you. And also you can join the eMigr8 community and drop a message in the community to say, I want this service or I want a different service, and we would reach out through the community and make sure you are connected to whoever you need to be connected to be successful. We're out here to give you as much information as possible to make you successful, right? And most of our sessions are free, right? And you want to take advantage of those. eMigr8 packages that we are focused on, going by the countries and the visa type that we focus on. We look at move to the UK as a global talent. That is the United Kingdom focus. And we're looking at the UK global talent, what a lot of people call technician visa, right? We also have moved to the UK as an innovator or a founder. This is also focused on the UK. So it's called the Innovator Founder Visa. It's a merger of the Innovator Visa and the Startup Visa together. So there are a lot of information around that at the moment, we're happy to share. If you want information around that, please drop a message on the chat, so we'll reach out to you. Move to the US as a global talent. This is focused on the US O1 visa for individuals with extraordinary ability or achievement. And everybody has extraordinary ability and everybody has achieved quite a lot. We just need to be able to present what we have achieved and our abilities and what we have done as an individual, right? And we have coaches, that can help you appraise yourself rightly to fall into that category of people with extraordinary ability or extraordinary achievement. So don't rule yourself out by mentioning or saying the word extraordinary. All right. So the US O1 visa, yeah, you can take advantage of that also, and move to Canada, right, in 2023. Move to the US, move to the UK and Canada. If you have any of those goals, right, depending on the uniqueness of your circumstance, we are willing to speak with you. We are willing to guide you as much as we can to enable you put your best foot forward and equip you for success. We also have tech-enabled visa pathway for people heading to the UK, looking at certificate of sponsorship, looking at companies within the UK, acquiring your skill set or acquiring you. Right, we have those skilled workers visa focused packages also, and with a simple by simply joining our ecosystem, the community, the eMigr8 community, and ask questions around any of the packages that you're interested in. We will do well to connect you with a coach who is vast in the area or in the country or in the visa type that you are processing or you're applying for. So we have the Telegram community, we have the Facebook community, we have the LinkedIn community, and we have the YouTube community. A lot of people have gotten free sessions, free materials, free coaching by just being active in these communities and just engaging with coaches. So if you have questions, you're free to ask. If you have a review you want somebody to help you with, you can pair up with somebody in their communities, and both of you can take a look at it and review together. So there's a lot you can benefit from joining the community and for being active in the community. If once you join the community, we also have the WhatsApp community, right? But we have to add you to the WhatsApp community. So we typically add people from Telegram or from Facebook community into the WhatsApp community on request. All right, so it's not an open community. We have to add it to that, but every other community is open and you can join them. And if you want to WhatsApp, you can request from those communities and we would gladly add you to the WhatsApp community, right? What we ask is that you engage, you are liking, you're sharing, you're commenting, you're chatting, and you're not just passive in those community. eMigr8 is incubated by Bincom Dev Center and other services from Bincom Dev Center. I'll take another 5 minutes to just brief you guys on other services that you can benefit. Again, that is geared towards equipping you to becoming globally attractive from a tech point of view, right? So other services that we have in Bincom Dev Center include the Global Tech Program, right? So this is for people who are looking to gain skill. If you are a beginner or intermediate or even a professional, you're looking to gain more skills in tech, or you're looking to gain experience working on real life projects, or you're looking out for where to gain exposure, right? This is a perfect program. It's a 1 to 2 year program tailored around equipping you with skills, giving you experience, and putting you in a position where you're working in real life project, but thereby, giving you exposure to the tech ecosystem, as it were. Right. There are a lot of success stories, there are a lot of testimonials of people that have gone through this process, that have gone through this program from beginner level and also for intermediate level. If you want to, or somebody that this would benefit, please put it in front of them. Bincom.net/global tech is where they want to go to. It's a very short registration, and we will communicate back to you when the next cohort is taking place, or if there's indeed a session you can join right away. All right. So if you know anyone or if you're interested, please take down that website and log in and request. We also have become a tech talent. Right, what we offer here is tech training, right? We also offer individual tech career coaching session here. This is a paid service, right? Especially for the premium community, right? If you tech trainings per month, you can see the figures there. We have individual tech career coaching session. We have the apprenticeship program for tech with a UK company, all right, and we have it is priced at £350 per month for that one. And we have all that features and other benefits under becoming a tech talent. All right. So if you are interested in this puts you in the UK ecosystem directly, because most of our partners that we work with for this package are based in the UK. So there are tech companies in the UK, tech startup in the UK, and even the coaches are based in the UK. So that's why it is priced with pounds, right? So the focus is in tech, but if you're coming through eMigr8, there are discounts that are available, right, for those that are coming through eMigr8. So there's a phone number. By just sending a simple text message or WhatsApp message to that number, we'll reach out to you, or go straight to the website, beancom.net/global talent, and we will reach out to you. There's a short form that you have to fill, and that will get you connected to us, and we will take it from there. Right. We also have a mentorship platform. So there are quite a few people that are looking for opportunities to connect with a mentor. You're just starting out in tech, you are building something, and you need a mentor, right? We have a mentorship platform. Or if you're a professional and you're looking for an opportunity to give back to the society or to the community, you want to mentor people, we can connect you to a mentee, right? So that's the platform, being called mentoring platform. It's available to both mentors and mentees. And what we simply do here is to connect people. Most of the opportunities around tech, some of the questions that we ask you, we border around mentoring. Have you ever been mentored? Have you ever been a mentor? So it's a good opportunity to get mentorship experience, right? Especially in tech, right? So I would do it to put the link, Beacon mentoring platform, on the chat. So just simply click on the link and you can connect to that platform, right? It's open to both mentors and mentees. If you're a mentor looking for mentees in tech, it's specifically around tech, right? We want to be able to reach you and connect you with mentees. And if you're a mentee looking for a sponsor, please also reach out. We want to be able to connect you to a mentor, and hopefully we can all grow together while building together, right? We also have Labs by Beacom. This is very, very important, especially if you're looking at tech, because most of the tech platform are looking at digital products, not just services. They are focused on products. What product have you built? What product have you launched? What product do you have in the market that you can point to say, I'm part of this success story. We built, I was the product manager, or I was the backend developer that built product X or product Y that has 1 million users today. Those are some of the things that, some of the metrics that these platforms or these endorsing body look out for, especially if you're looking at tech. So what we have is the Beacom Labs by Beacom, which is a 3 to 6 month cohort program where you pair up with other startup or other cohorts, and you build a startup for 3 to 6 months. Basically, from ideation to launch to growth. We put all different skill sets together: product design, UX, UI, back end developer, front end developer, data analyst. We put everybody together in a cohort, and you guys choose a product you want to build, right? Which is very interesting and also very intensive, right? But if you are in services and you're looking to apply for some of, if you're doing product, but if you're doing tech, if you're in tech, but you're looking at infrastructure, or you're in services, and you want to have product experience, you want to experience building a product, Labs by Beacom is a perfect fit that allows you participate in building a product, taking it to market, and launching it, right? It's you building a startup in a sense, and being part of that journey. And you can also add that to your portfolio if you are out there seeking for job, whether in your market or in a different ecosystem, or if you're looking at relocation, it can be part of your portfolio to say, I built XYZ startup, and this is what the startup does, and this is where it has been launched, and these are our users at the moment. So it's very intensive. Like I said, each cohort has a 3 to 10 tech people with different skill sets, right? I should say, coming together to build a startup from scratch, right? So it's something that I find very important and I find very useful, especially if you're switching careers, if you're moving from banking to technology. It's a good place to start and get your hands involved in building a product. Or if you're moving from service inclined tech ecosystem and you want to move to product, it's also a fantastic way. If you're learning how to build a startup, you want to have that experience before diving into your own startup journey, it's also a good way to get the experience, get the exposure, and get the knowledge, collaborating and working with other tech experts, right? I've talked about the tech coaching, tech career coaching service, right? If you're looking at landing your next role first, you're looking at building relevant experience in targeted country. For example, you want to migrate to the UK and you want to build experience before you get to the UK, or you want to connect to recruiters in the UK, or connect to job in the UK that offers visa sponsorship. The Bincom Tech Career Coaching Service is tailored for you, right? If you go to bincom.net/tech career coaching, right? And that would, you get a short form again. Again, the short form is just to understand who you are and what you're looking out for, right? And what are your specific goals that you have. So if you want to land a job fast, we just want to know, right? And we can connect you with tech coaches who are very familiar with that journey, who have landed jobs themselves, right? And we can also connect you to apprenticeship opportunity. We can connect you to volunteering opportunity, and we can also connect you to job opportunities where you can get relevant skills and relevant experience, and also connect you to tech recruiters who are looking for your skill sets, right? So it's a no-brainer. If you're looking to earn in dollars or earn in pound, this is one of the platforms that you can leverage to start your journey. All right. Some available tech-enabled visa and settlement visa routes that offers relocation and settlement. I've talked about them before. The Innovator visa is one of them for the UK. The Global Talent visa is another one, and the Skill Workers visa route is another one. This list is not exhaustive, right? This is why you need to join the ecosystem and ask questions, and we can connect you to a coach that can speak to your specific need, right? For the US, we look at the O1 visa and the EB1 visa also. For Canada, we look at the startup visa for Canada. And next edition will be focused in on the startup visa for Canada, right? We have a guest coming in to share all you need to know and all the steps you need to take. So if you know anyone who's looking to relocate to Canada, who's a tech enthusiast, I should say, who's in tech or planning to get into tech, they shouldn't miss the next open day. There are other digital nomad visas that we have coaches for, like for if you want to move to Portugal, want to move to Spain, these countries are opening up tech visa route, right? You can speak to a coach and we can help you navigate those journeys, right? For us, what we want to do is to make you globally attractive, right? That is what we want to do. We want to be able to appraise your skill sets, want to be able to work with you, and put together your portfolio, put together all you have been doing in the last 5, 10, 3 or 6, 1 year, right? We want to be able to appraise it and put it together in such a way that it is attractive to the endorsing body, or is attractive to a potential employer in the different markets. So today we have a guest who has navigated the tech ecosystem in her own ecosystem originally, and has moved over to the UK, and she'll be sharing her journey, how she started and how she has progressed, and what she has learned, and some of the tricks, to enable you find the journey a bit easier, and to let you know that it is possible, because she's a success story, and she's going to share a lot of information today. So if you have questions, like I said, please put it in the chat, and she would go over as much questions as possible when she's done. Hello. Hello, Busayo.
Hi, Moody.
You're welcome to eMigr8 Open Day. Thank you for joining us today. We cannot wait to hear about your journey, how you started in tech, and and the success stories around, and all the glass ceilings that you have shattered. So please The floor is yours, and I'm just going to stop sharing so that you can.
How many minutes do I have now before taking the questions?
We typically allot 25 to 30 minutes, and so you.
Okay.
But if you need to go further, please take your time, explain the process, and no rush.
I'll
want everybody to get as much as they can.
Well, I'll keep the time as much as possible. Evening, everyone, or good day, everyone, depends on the part of the world that you're in.
Yeah.
And watching this. Moody has shared a lot already, so I'm going to dive in straight into what my experience has been like in kind of categories talking about the Global Talent Visa itself, my personal experience on the Global Talent Visa, which is the Global Talent Visa, sometimes called the Technician Visa for the UK, my career, my background, and progress till now. The benefits of the visa of being on this visa, I would link that to the visa itself, as well as my application process, how that went. I'll share a bit on that as well. So starting an innovation strategist and an architect. Started with architecture. I studied architecture in the University of Lagos. That's construction architecture, because now there's technology architecture. Studied construction architecture in the University of Lagos, first and second degrees, and got qualified as an architect in Nigeria. Also got charter membership with the Royal Institute of British Architects in UK, and been practicing architecture for a while, for years, did a lot of that. However, in the practice of architecture, I had a lot of interest in building information modeling. It's called BIM, which is like using AutoCAD. I feel like most people should be familiar with AutoCAD. But beyond AutoCAD, AutoCAD is mostly 2D, building in 3 dimensions, being able to model buildings. I really, really enjoyed software. I really enjoyed using all of those applications to do a lot within architecture, as well as even slightly beyond architecture. And with that interest continuously, for me, I think that was like the foundational exposure to technology for me. And it was fascinating how those solutions are able, you can build and layer, and the more you know about the software, the more you can achieve, the more you can build, the more dynamic things you can create. And building a lot on that, at some point, I was working in the architecture industry with a lot of interest in technology. At some point, I had applied for an exchange program in the US called Tech Women. I was selected. Well, first year I was not selected. I reapplied the second year, and then I was selected. I had that opportunity to go to Silicon Valley. It was an immersive program in the Silicon Valley, and that's made a lot of difference in my perception. So while I was still practicing like full-time in conventional architecture, that started changing my perspective, especially looking into technology. And probably the more difficult part then was being able to translate traditional architecture, conventional construction architecture into a practice in technology. And that was not necessarily an easy journey. It wasn't even a journey that I didn't know I knew what I did not want to do, or I knew what I had, and I had faint ideas of what I was trying to do, but it never added up until more recently. And I'll share what that journey looked like. So while the good thing is, what I would also say is, personally, I always put in a lot. I put in a lot into anything I'm doing. When I'm working, I'm working a lot. When I'm playing a lot. When I'm sleeping peacefully with gratitude. So that's something that, so while I was all in architecture, I was all in, and in the same way too, navigating and seeing more options and seeing what to do in technology, sometimes in design, even in trying to, at some point, the first thing I tried to do was to even build an app for architects. That's construction architects that could help to track time relative to project, track creative time, design time relative to project, and being able to manage such that it becomes predictive. Well, along that journey, beyond that, I still continued practicing in an architecture firm, in an architecture practice, like design architecture practice, up until end of 2019. Even though while I was there, I did quite a number of things as well outside of architecture and technology. I volunteered a lot in technology circles. I volunteered a lot on technology projects. I volunteered a lot on technology initiatives, especially focused on women and girls, as well as women, girls, students, young adults. I did a lot of that. And that was also very helpful at the time I was applying for this visa. I never knew. Now, moving to talking about my global talent route at some point, I actually was not looking for a path to relocation. I wasn't even looking to relocate in the sense of it. I got to a point in my career where I felt like I needed some more knowledge and needed an extra push. I felt I'd gotten to a point where I'll put it as like diminishing returns. I was putting in much more than I was getting in terms of satisfaction on the level, like to yourself, be true. You would know when you feel like you could deliver more. Did I know what it was I could deliver? The answer was no. I didn't know what that could be, but I was open to exploring what that could be. And I took a major dive to pivot into technology, to pivot into technology, to do more of, work more in technology circle, less in construction architecture circle. And there were advantages with my architecture background because I had learned a lot around design. I had learned a lot around the creative process. I had also learned a lot around conceptualization. And those were the things I really started with in technology. So I started with trying to design processes in technology, trying to build business processes, and a lot of that morphed into what I do now, which is innovation strategy. And incidentally, it has translatable skills from architecture. Most of the skills are translatable. Yes, there are different tools. Yes, there are different objects that I have to work in. And I've had to also learn a lot of the language, the tools, the technology, the systems within technology, which is different from, it's no longer brick and mortar. It is now other products. And with innovation strategy it's also opened me up to be able to work. I don't only work on software, I work on hardware, I work on, it could be any product. I could be working on any product. I've chosen to focus more on products that are technology backed or technology led, at least for now. And that has really, really worked. So what had happened was I worked on different projects. I'll take clients brief. And at that point too, at some point I moved more into freelance consulting, which meant I would take projects from people. And it's interesting because it was also people who knew what I was already doing, even while I was working full-time in architecture, I would volunteer, I would help people. Someone wants to build something, they brainstormed, run ideas by me. I volunteered a lot, and a lot of those volunteer roles or volunteer situations, eventually when I decided to make that a more structured system or a more serious system, those were my first, your first clients, your first test projects. It was a lot of the play projects that I had that became my first official test project. And I've had to learn a lot. I've had to work on multiple projects in a short time, and all of that has moved into my current career and in my current role in innovation strategy within the UK. So how did I get on the global talent visa route? At that point, I got to a point in my career where I felt I needed to learn more and decided to get back to school, get back to study. So I was applying for a doctorate degree. I'd considered different schools, different countries. And at that point, while I was at that, a friend who was my senior in secondary school mentioned to me, he was trying to reach me, and at some point we spoke, and he mentioned to me, when I said I was applying for school, and it's what was I considering? Well, I considered different countries, and at some point I had zoomed in on the UK. And he said to me that there's something he thought I should apply for, and he thought I would get it. So I said, what was that? He said, the global talent visa, technician visa. I said, okay, fine. He said he would send me the link to apply. I genuinely desired that he wouldn't send me the link, because at that point I was overwhelmed with a lot of applications, with school applications, and I thought, well, it would be great if he doesn't send me the link, and that way I wouldn't have to feel guilty that I did not apply for it, which, benefit of hindsight, when I think about it, that was not the best of things to do, because being on the global talent visa route in the UK currently has made a ton of difference in my journey in the UK. And it's been been the most flexible option for me to even do much more than what I thought I was, do much more than what I had planned to do in the UK. And it's also allowed my versatility to be deployed better, to be used better. So while in the process of the application, person mentioned it to me, I thought, okay, I'll give it a thought. Then maybe about 2 days after, there's a friend, close friend, who I was going to drop off after church. And she also mentioned, oh, there's something she wants to apply for, and she wants us to apply together. She thinks we would get it. And apparently it was the same thing she spoke about. I was like, okay, now that this is coming in such a short interval, I really cannot ignore this. I have to pay attention to this. So what I did was I was still focusing on the school route, and I eventually put in for the global talent visa. Now, when I applied for that, my first application, within the same application, my application was rejected. I'll talk about all my application documents where I'll talk about why it was rejected. My application was rejected, so I had to write for a review. There's an opportunity to write for a review within the same application, and I had to do that. I had to write for a review, and the only thing is, in writing for a review, I imagine that's still the rule now. The rule then was, you're not allowed to submit newer evidences. You're only allowed to back up the evidence that you submitted, which is why somehow a strong recommendation from me to anyone applying for any of these routes or any of these journeys would be, put your best foot forward in the first place. At that point, when I got a rejection, the rejection were based on, well, the strongest point was that I was applying in the digital technology route, was that part of my background, my background was strong. I had kind of a project on architecture. And now, while I had projects on architecture, they were not necessarily directly architecture. They were, at that point, I had done some bits of drone projects, I had done hardware projects, I had done software projects, which meant I wasn't necessarily the way you can say someone is a product manager, or a project manager, I didn't really have a defined, I didn't have the most defined parts, let me use that word. Same thing with, it's like saying with innovation strategy, is not necessarily the most common of, it's not the most common of occupations, it's not the most common of parts, it's a niche role in a way, if I was to use that word, is a niche career path. And that's, so I had to write and talk about the project that I had submitted, but I wasn't allowed to add evidence. So that's something I would really recommend to anyone applying. Like, in the first, put your best, when I say best foot forward, because I had to write to defend what I had submitted. I wasn't allowed to add any new evidence. And I had to, in defending, saying I eventually submitted 9 projects. I think it's allowed to submit up to 10. I submitted 9, which I'm so happy I did, because if I didn't submit up to that, my point was, even if 9 evidences, I think that was what it was, about 9 evidences. The point is, even if 3 get disqualified, 6 will still get in and give a foot in the door. So that would be my recommendation based on that. And I also, something I did deliberately was to try to, even while I had diverse evidences, still try to tie all of those evidences to digital technology, to the path that I was applying in. That's also very important, being able to curate the narrative properly to make it applicable to what it is. That's defining what you're doing properly to what you're applying for. So that'll be my recommendation based on being able to apply. And then even my role, for example, in architecture, emphasizing the beam impact, emphasizing the a lot of, as at that time, I'd done a lot of photogrammetry, which is like still being BIM, building modeling using drone, like drone third-party software to the drone. I've done quite a bit of that. I had also done software technology projects. I had a hardware product. At that point, I was making a table that folds, which I'm done with the first prototype now. I eventually 3D printed most part of it. And so those were projects, that amongst other things. And something else that was also stood out was, for the UK route, one of the evidences is impact outside of work. And that's something that we do a lot. And I think sometimes we take for granted what we do. I wasn't necessarily doing all of those things because I didn't know someday I was going to be applying for visa in this route, but that was very strong for me as well, because had been active a lot in the tech women community in Nigeria, had a lot of local projects, had a lot of even projects in sub-Saharan Africa, which I was active. I was genuinely active, volunteering and giving a lot of my time to those courses. And at some point, eventually that's counted for me as impact of work, impact outside of work. in digital technology. So that counted a lot for that. And I would say a major benefit, I eventually came into the UK on the global talent route. And like I said earlier, it has made a ton of difference because now I'm able to work. I could, even at the beginning of when I came in, getting on my the consultancy business, get that in registered, because global talent visa is very flexible. You can work, you can run your business, you can run a startup, you can do many and anything as far as you're working within the digital technology industry. So that gave me the kind of versatility that I wanted. There's no other visa route that would have given me that kind of versatility, even knowing my background, even from Nigeria. I wasn't one person known to be doing one thing at a time. If we were to put it in that context, I typically had like more than one thing going on at the same time. And even moving into the UK on that visa route, because what it does is it's allowed me to be able to work. It's allowed me to be able to work on product, finish up. I was able to finish that product I was working on, which I'm super excited about. I work currently on a role. Currently on a role in a leading higher institution in the UK, and I'm also preparing to start a PhD. And all of this, I'm able to do all of that within the same visa with minimal restrictions. Unlike if I was on a student visa, which would have restricted the kind of work I could do or the kind of hours I could work, or if I was being sponsored on a work visa, that would also have restricted the amount of time I can put into education. And essentially also because, again, know yourself, because I've always had like a kind of like extra capacity. So I'm able to push myself on multiple things, even though now I'm really working to streamline this. But it's one thing to want to do more than one thing, is one thing to want the flexibility, is another thing to have the resources for flexibility. So for me, it's been made a world of difference, I would say, to be on the global talent visa. I'm at the 18 minutes time mark now. I don't want to exceed it before the 20 minutes. Then let me know if there are questions for now. Let me take them, then we can go back to what. So at this point, I've spoken about how I got on the technician visa, the global talent visa, how I got to know about it. I literally stumbled on it. And again, I would reapply for it if I knew. While I didn't realize at that point the impact it could make, how important it could be, the amount of versatility it would give me. Now that I'm in here, I've put in a lot of work and also navigated the system to an extent. I realized the flexibility. I'm so happy I did that. And the second thing is my career building, from moving from architecture to mainstream working in technology also means architecture is probably a world of difference if you look at it in practice. However, they are transferable skills, which means anybody can transfer or anybody can pivot to technology in a way to an extent, as far as what you're doing is backed by technology, or what you're doing is you're leveraging technology, which most of us already do in the things that we do, as well as then also the flexibility of being able to work, school, gain additional knowledge. Most people, quite a lot of names here, Nigerian names, we like the degrees, right? And that's also a visa that gives you more flexibility than what a student visa route will give you. And also being able to put in my application a blend of products, but ensuring that a blend of the project, a blend of the evidences, all points directly to digital technology, which was the part I applied through. So thank you very much, everyone. I hope I've been able to share some insights in the short time.
Yeah, you've been able to take us on your journey. It's exciting, architecture and tech. And that's a lot of people will be wondering when you decided, and we're just going to jump in and ask questions. When you decided to switch to tech, were there specific programs you took? How was that transition like? I know you talked about it, but we want to know more, because there are a couple of people on the chat that are switching from one career, not necessarily architecture, but from one career to another and into tech. And they want to know, are there specific courses you took that made it easy? And what can you talk about that process generally? How seamless was that shift for you?
Yes, there were courses I took, because first is I even needed to know what exists in tech. And I was looking out for what exists to have a wide view, then to help me to narrow as I progressed. So I remember taking and that was, a part of that was during COVID-19, 2020, when there were quite a number of online courses. So that worked well for me because I could take enough online courses, and a lot of universities at that point, top universities, were offering online courses for free. I took quite a number of those courses. I remember taking a course in product school. I did quite a number of courses. I've also been able to product school. That was quite instrumental because they had a mix of many things, and I took quite a number of courses on strategy, especially strategy in technology. That was because particularly I was interested in strategic planning, and also YouTube videos. I did a lot of YouTube videos. That was before I even narrowed to, I was open to a wide range of possibilities before I narrowed to what I thought was a best fit and what I know today to be a best fit for me. So my recommendation will be, now the truth is YouTube itself is a university today, has so many resources, a lot of resources. And my recommendation would also be, depends on the career path people are switching from, be open to a wide field at the beginning, then you can narrow a wide field and you can narrow. Even if you're taking a course, if you decide, okay, I want to be a project manager, while you're learning on project management or product management or product design, while you're learning a lot of that, be open to a lot of the peripheral knowledge and a lot of the peripheral courses. So that I would recommend. And then the transition, was it easy? The answer is no, absolutely no. If I think about that's what I did again, if I think about that pivot again, now that it's turned out well, I'm happy at the progress, I will say, yes, I'll do it again. But if I think about the way the process was and all that, I was like, nah, don't try that at home. That was a stunt. No, it was difficult. It was not the easiest of moments, but the good thing was, at different points, I will see progress. Because it was more like relearning a lot in other field. I would see a lot of progress as I moved. I wish the progress was faster at some point. I wish I had moved faster. I wish I had more support at some point. But when I think about the results, every bit of it was worth it. In fact, even every bit of the difficulties were worth it, because those were things that made me stronger. Like you say, what doesn't kill you make you stronger? So
yeah. So what was the fact that it was a pandemic season? Did that help? Did that help to slow a bit of work down and give you enough time to sort of dive deep into the transition process?
Yes, that gave me, I'll say that was defined. Well, when I say defined, like, I don't know, because I know the pandemic was bad on different fronts for different people. And for me, that was like a time where, now let me put it, it was probably one of the most difficult times so far was probably one of the most difficult times for me in my life ever. That period, as difficult as it was also a blessing in a way, because I had time. Incidentally, it was also at a point where I moved. I was in Lagos back then, and then I moved to Abeokuta. I was in Abeokuta. It wasn't planned. It was a difficult time. So I had to move, but in hindsight, that gave me a lot of time, because I would walk during the day. A lot of movements was restricted. So I had tons of hours. I would walk during the day, walk regular hours during the day. By evening, I would jump to Moonlight on another project with a different team. We met up, I remember we're meeting up at 8 p.m. every other day for about 2 hours consistently for up to 5 or 6 months while working. And then I get up sometime again in the night or wake up early the next morning to read up and to research to be sure I was ready for the day. So I was working back to back. It was back to back in hours to build on that. So the pandemic, the time off, the fact that it was restriction of movement, I was out of my comfort zone, absolutely out of every form of comfort I could imagine. But that worked as a blessing in disguise. So that was being able to take off a lot of time off regular work, because sometimes it's not easy. You're working 9 to 5, you're working in regular hours, and then having to build another product. So that worked well for me.
Yeah, but it also shows that you had control and you had to manage your time. So, and which is something I wanted you to speak about, because when you are switching, you have to dedicate time for your regular work and also spend a lot of time in product school like you did, or on YouTube learning picking up new skill sets, or even picking up soft skill necessary for the sector you want to pivot into. So we have a question on the chat. Guys, please drop your question on the chat. I've also dropped link within the chat that you can use to join any of the eMigr8 community that you deem necessary or fit to be part of. So someone asks, I want to understand what route is the best to relocate, either US, UK, or Canada precisely. Hello, I will just take a dive at that. It's dependent on you. So every of these countries you've listed are unique and are good, are great. Well, they are power nations, G6, G8, G20, they are industry, great GDP. They have, all the pegs. They have good and thriving tech ecosystem. The answer lies on you. What do you want, right? And where do you think you can flourish, right, with what you want? So once you have a vision, you have what you want. The UK has its peculiarity, the US has its peculiarity, Canada has its peculiarity, and you can decide to go for anyone, but you have to make that decision as an individual, right? We're here to facilitate anyone that you want to go in. We don't favor one over another, right? We're just here to help you facilitate towards becoming globally attractive, and you can decide where you want to go to. Hope that helps. We have another question. Great. I have experience in cybersecurity, Android development, web development, and AI games development. Please share with me the best way using tech-enabled visa. Again, Busa, do you want to take a dive at this?
You have a lot. If I had all of what you had, web development, AI games, my journey will have been more straightforward. So first, what I would say is, Pascal, you have a lot of experience already. So when you're saying the best way using tech-enabled now at this point is a lot of what you're doing, cybersecurity, Android development, web, all of this falls. Well, aside cybersecurity, all the other ones sound like app development. So that's clear definition of what you're doing. It depends on how many years of experience you have. You can take a dive at the UK Global Talent Visa if that's something you're considering. The UK Global Talent Visa has two options. There's the exceptional promise and exceptional talent. Exceptional promise is if you have 5 years, if you have 3 years of experience, and exceptional talent if you have at least 5 years of experience. I'm also going to use that to answer a question where somebody was asking what I applied to. So I applied for the exceptional talent. That's those with 5 years or more experience. So what I would say, Pascal, is depends on the number of years of experience you have. It's time to put all of these that you have done, document products that you have worked on, document your impact in the community, in the digital technology community, locally, especially in volunteer roles. It's time to document all of that and document these products that you have worked on, to put all of that in the documentation and apply for a visa category, whether the US, UK, Canada, Portugal, which countries that give you. And even by now, if you're in Nigeria, being able to land remote roles.
Yeah, I think that's great. And you should be able to tell a story with all these your gift sets, right? So being able to, and that's one of the things we do well in the community, being able to take all your experiences and tell a story with it, because they seem to be in different area. There's IT, cybersecurity is different from Android development, for example, right? What have you built in Android? What are the impact stories? What are the products? What do you have there? We can tie them together and tell a very good story that makes that position you and put your best foot forward. But at the moment, you have a lot just listed. You want to be able to go deeper than just the header to explain to us, what are the products I built as as an Android developer, what are the products I built? Is any of them in use? What are the impacts? As a web developer, same thing. Cybersecurity, you want to do that also. List them and try to tell a story, because again, they all speak to one person, which is you, and they are praising you and your work, right? So we can come in and help you pull that together, right? If you don't mind. So if you send a message, join our ecosystem and send a message to us, we would give you a session with a coach that would go through your resume and see how we can help you, Mr. Pascal. All right. I'm just going to jump right into the next question. Thank you for your presentation. 2 questions. When you are on global talent visa, is there a minimum income required you must earn? Then secondly, how long can someone on global talent visa afford to stay outside of the UK part-time?
Yeah, so first question, there's no minimum income requirements, even though because you're recognized as a global talent, there's a decent amount that you need to earn. And from time to time, I know the technicians, they send surveys. Yeah, I think technicians, or the UK, yeah, they send surveys to just check what are the salary bands, and there's no requirements, but I think there's an expectation. Yeah, so that's the way I'll put it. And then how long? There's an expectation, because even while you're applying, you demonstrated that you fall in a category of talents within the technology industry. Therefore, there's an expectation of what you should be earning. But if you're thinking about it, for example, in the sense of if you're coming in to build a startup, there is going to be an incubation gestation period where you may not be earning as much. So that will be understandable as far as you can demonstrate that there's progress and there's traction. That is fine. Then how long can someone, okay, the second part of the question, to stay outside of the UK part-time, that's also one of the flexibilities of the visa, is that there's no restriction per time, but in a 1-year period, you're allowed to stay, you are expected to stay within the UK for at least 180 days. And that is a requirement for tax purposes, because in that instance, you're seen as tax resident in the UK if you stay minimum of 180 days per year. So that's why, part of why, or maybe a major reason why that requirement is there, but that's the only requirement about that. So you could, if you have operations, or you have business, or you have a lot of things running outside of UK, in other countries, Nigeria, other countries in Africa, or in the US, anywhere else, you can be 6 months in, 6 months. It doesn't have to be block time. You can be 1 month in, 2 weeks out, 3 days in, 4 days out. So that's also a flexibility I didn't mention, amongst other flexibilities of being on the global talent visa.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think that was thoroughly answered. 6 months in, tax purposes, you can be flexible with the other half of the year. And yeah, I think we've dealt with that. The next question, hello, madam. Please, what is the promising leader category you apply for? So I'm just going to paraphrase for this person. The person wants to know the category you applied with. I know you said you applied as an exceptional talent. What are the specific, if you can remember, what are the specific categories you applied through, and what are, again, speak to the evidence that you submitted alongside those category, against those category.
Okay, I remember there was 1 mandatory and then 3 optional. Out of the 3 optional, I was required to submit 2 evidence categories of the 2 optional. So the mandatory was, you have to show that you're a recognized exceptional leader in the digital technology industry. You have to show that and that was in terms of either projects or, anyway, I would mention how I responded to this. Then the other 2, I selected the one of your leading a product-led company, or you have products. There was another option of your earning. I was at that point where my earning wouldn't have been justifiable as a global leader, because I was literally starting building a career all over. I can see a question about that. I would respond to that. I was literally building a career already. Well, like they say, you don't start from zero, you start from experience. I was rebuilding a career from experience, right? And so I selected the path of, well, the mandatory was mandatory, then I selected the path of impact products, like being able to build digital technology impact products, as well as then the third one was I selected impact outside of your work. that's leading impact outside of your work. Leading impact outside of work was probably one of the easiest for me because I had volunteered a lot. Now, the volunteering helped me into, I was volunteering genuinely in all of those roles, but it was good at some points that, when they say your reward is in heaven, it was good to get the reward, part of the reward on earth, at a point where I needed to put in an application for the UK Global Talent Visa. All of those things I had done came to bear. So that felt quite good. So I had volunteered a lot especially with the tech women. Tech women is a community in Nigeria. It's a US Department of State's exchange alumni group that focuses a lot on doing impact projects for women, students, and I also say young adults. A lot of projects locally, most have been in Lagos, but even across Nigeria, there's been a lot of projects. So I volunteered genuinely for that. And I was also a part of their delegation trips from the tech women, which go to impact tech women countries, tech women participating countries. So I participated in quite a number of those trips. I remember going to Sierra Leone. I remember going to Kenya, going to Rwanda on these delegation trips. And incidentally, these were self-funded trips. And incidentally, the technician requirements require that if you're going on the route of impact outside of work, it was not paid impact. So for example, if your company is paying for you to go and do a project or to go and do a volunteer project or to go and do a community project, that was not necessary. So this was where is interesting, where I'd kind of like invested my time and personal resources and funds to volunteering in communities, in local communities. That became evidences and that came to bear for me. So that was very good. That was one of my strongest points. And the next one was working on projects. So I submitted within that category, I probably submitted about 3 to 6 projects that I was working on. And they were impact projects. They were unique. Each of them were unique projects in their own way. Most of them were new projects. They were projects that had not been fully completed, but each one of them was a unique project. So I think that went a long way for me. Then the other evidence, the mandatory evidence, what I did in that category, because I didn't want to leave any loophole, was I submitted evidences in all of the 3 categories within the mandatory. That way, without being sure about, because at the point of submission, I checked how the submission was listed. You had to say what evidences you were submitting for each category. So I thought in this instance of having to prove that I'm a global leader in digital technology, I'm going to check this box in every way. So I made sure I had particular products that were dedicated to that. I made sure I had volunteer activities that were dedicated to that. I made sure I had, what else? Like impact outside of work that was dedicated to the mandatory requirements. So this was me saying, it's like when they say question one compulsory, question 2 and 3 optional. I made sure I had the compulsory, and I made sure I had a bit of both optionals within the compulsory. So that was my approach to the application and to the submission, because I felt if anything was going to get this, I didn't want any kind of disqualification. Imagine even after putting in all of that, I still got a rejection. So, which I had to apply for a review. So imagine if I didn't have all of that piled up in there at the point of asking for a review, I would have had too little to be reviewed on. So what I'll say is, using the way we say it, as in overdo yourself in putting in those evidences. Yeah. And also don't underestimate, if you can demonstrate impact, don't underestimate the power of similarly, even projects that you initiated yourself, as far as they have impact and you can, like Moody said earlier, write the narrative, curate the narrative of the impact of the project. If it's the genius of the project itself, be able to speak to that. So that's be my recommendation. So that was what I submitted in my categories.
Tell your story, submit all evidence as long as you can find them, because you never can tell which of them will scale you through or which of them will help you during your review process if you need to do a review. All right. Thank you very much. I'll move swiftly to the next question. You're doing very well, by the way.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any advice for people at the top of their career, i.e., not in tech, now looking at a way to get into tech and interested in UK global talent for relocation? wouldn't it be a frustrating journey? So I think you're uniquely positioned to answer this question. All right, so go for it.
The last line, wouldn't it be a frustrating journey? I wish I could promise otherwise, or I wish I could offer some hope otherwise that wouldn't be frustrating.
But now that means
it was
there is
worth
light
it.
at the end of the journey. Yeah,
there is light at the end of the journey. And again, let me put it straight now with what I know now. If I were to go back to redo this, I would do it again and again. So okay. It is worth every bit of it. So, and then I would say it this way. If you're already at the top of your career, there must be something that makes you uncomfortable enough that wants you to shift. If you're at the top of your career, you're doing fine. You can also, if you can spot patterns, analyze, and try to project what you're going to be doing in 10 years and 15 years and 20 years, and you're fine. If you're okay, fine, sorted, please enjoy your career. You don't have to shift and you don't have to move. Like, enjoy your career. But if there's any iota of doubt in you, and these things we typically know, like we haven't, then iota of doubt in you, either, well, different things with the rapid growth in technology, some careers would gradually start getting displaced. If your career is in that category, then the earlier you start thinking about the pivot, the better. If you're in a place where you're personally not happy, you think maybe you made the wrong, yes, you might be at the top, but you know that you're not happy, you're genuine, and you have some luxury, some wiggle room to shift, and it's fine. I was more in the position of where I wouldn't say I was not happy where I was happy, I was doing fine in my career. Now it was more of the desire to do more, because I knew I had the capacity to do more. I knew I had the capacity and then interest to do more. So it was one of those nagging things where you wonder if I try, what if I fail? And then the question is, what if I don't fail? For me, that was what it was more like. And at some point I decided to take the plunge of, you know what? If I try, right, what's the worst case? Is to learn through the process. I wouldn't even see it as failing. It would have been, I would have learned a lot. And I also asked myself, what's the worst case? Is to go back to where I left. Like, it's to go back to where the point where I stopped from. The worst case is to go back to the point where I stopped from. And truth is, maybe in so many instances, what we fear as the worst case is probably in our minds. That worst case is never really as bad as it is. Typically, what is the limits that we put in our minds. And so what I would say is, I wouldn't use the word frustrating. It's a painstaking journey. Maybe that's the word I would use. It's not frustrating, it's a painstaking journey. If you can have a plan at it, fine. Not all the plans will work, but it's always good to have a plan. Most of my plan A and plan B failed, did not work in the way I planned my plan A, plan B. Maybe it's like my plan X, Y, Z, the least plans, the last ones that I put at, like, okay, bad as a bad, worst case scenario, those were the ones that really probably mostly worked out. So what I would say is, prepare for the best in every way, be ready for the worst as it grows, but the journey is always worth it. And what I would also recommend is, if you can find, especially if you're doing well in your career already, you're at the top, if you can find the equivalent or close synonymous equivalent of what you're doing in technology. For example, if you're an HR personnel, if you're a finance person, if you can find similarities in that role in technology roles, yes, you're going to have to learn about new tools, about new systems. If you can find what that looks like, where the skills are transferable, that would likely be easier. So that would be my recommendation. Eventually, that's what I found myself doing. I still have a lot of transferable skills from architecture to what I'm doing now, but I've had to learn a lot on the new tools. And I could say, well, I'm not part of the Income mentor group, yes, but I could volunteer on this platform to say I can be a part of the Income mentor group if there are people in this kind of category, especially, just to be able to share on already at the top of your career, already doing well in your career and trying to pivot, just hopefully able to provide some recommendations that gives better landing than what I had, softer landing than what I had. Yes, so that would be, but I would say all the pain was worth it. Every bit of the pain was worth it. I would do it again and again. So,
all right.
Thank
you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you for accepting to be a coach in our community for people who are looking to switch into tech, especially executives or accomplished people in a different pathway or in a different sector looking to come into tech. Right. Thank you very much. Your experience would be very, very useful to those sets of people. Right. I'll swiftly move to the next question. I'm conscious of time now. What's the advantage of exceptional talent over exceptional promise? They are the same thing. They're both going to launch in the UK. Exceptional talent offers you 3 years to indefinitely leave to remain. Exceptional promise offers you 5 years to indefinite leave to remain. So both are same, it would give you access to the UK generally, right? Exceptional talent, you must have experience at minimum 5 years and above. Then exceptional promise, experience under 5 years is what they are looking for in the tech ecosystem. So those are typically those are typically the difference between both of them. Is there any restriction for any of the categories, such as income band? There is no income restriction. It's about impact and what you have done in your community, in your ecosystem. So, right, pay attention more. They pay attention more on recognition, impact, leadership, and things like that. Right. I have a question here. I said, I have experience in web design, software development with PHP, and I just started a personal development with React. What category do I fall into? And I think I can speak a bit to this. You can fall into exceptional promise. I don't want to categorically say that is the category you fall into, because I don't know how long you've been in technology and what you have done. So we'll possibly need to spend more time with you to unpack what exactly have you done, and if you're just building a skill set, if you're just starting out, you want to take advantage of Last by Bincom or our program, Bincom Global Tech Program, so sort of build more skill and get more exposure and more experience. If you are under 1 year in the tech ecosystem, I don't know for sure, right? But if you drop a message in the community, we'll be able to give you 30 minutes with a coach just to unpack where have you been, what have you done, and what skill sets do you have. What you have dropped here is we can advise solely based on what you have done here, so that we don't misread your intentions, right? I'll move to the next question. What if I have not really worked on real life projects? I don't have packed portfolio, but I'm very good in my field. How can I be able to project myself, and what step can I take to be able to meet up? All right, Bisola, do you have?
Yes. So what is real life? Like, if you've not worked on real life projects, what have you worked on?
So he's a mobile developer with Flutter. He just added that. So he's building. He's a mobile developer. So he's building mobile apps. I'm taking a guess.
Yeah, because GitHub, you can submit GitHub profile. Those are part of evidences.
Yeah.
I submitted a lot of. The only thing is, I would say there are restrictions on each evidence. It has to be maximum of 3 pages. So what I would say is, while you can point to links, like have links to your work outside, bring in as much as you work into that presentation. That was something I should talk about. That was something else I did while I was presenting my work. At some point, I realized that the A4 portrait model wasn't doing me justice. So I switched to using A4 landscape so that I could put in as many diagrams as possible of my work. And I also tried to tell a story in text. I was also telling a story in diagrams. I had a lot of arrows on my submission. I would draw, this is what I've done. This is, for example, I remember submitting Miro pages. Miro is a tool for brainstorming. It's a white space. It's an online white space. And I've done a lot of work on Miro. Question was, how do I demonstrate I've done all of this work, especially for projects some projects were not yet live, some were live. But for projects that were not live, and also for projects that I didn't even have the right to put public, like to put And in trying to do that, I did screenshots, that's what we call it, screen grabs or screen images of the flow of those projects. So I wrote it in explanation in clear English, this product does this. And again, the impact, being able to write what is unique about those projects. So if you have test projects, personal projects that were originated, how serious did you take the personal project? Did you take the personal projects like client projects? If you did, then that means you must have documentation that backs that up. It's time to present that documentation. That was what I did. I was working on the product I was working on. It was an idea that I was looking for a table. While I was in the box during COVID, I needed a table that folds to work. I needed a table that I could easily pack up, put in a bag if I need to go back to Lagos, or in the same way I want to move from the dining room to the bedroom to outdoor. I just needed a table that could work. And I started sketching. I thought, okay, there must be a way to create a table. I did sketches of the table and was wondering. Then it struck me that could there be a way to fold? I saw my father's walking stick that folds. I don't know if you know those walking sticks that fold, that you can fold. And they're strong enough ones there. They have like a tensioned string in them that makes it stand once you stretch it out. And that idea got to me that, oh, this can work. There must be a way to be able to make a table that has collapsible legs, adjustable legs, and can fold. I did a sketch. I remember that day I did a sketch. That sketch was part of what I submitted as my evidence. Now, that not only that sketch, I submitted the process of the table, the entire process of the table, building the table and all that. I thought it was unique enough. It was innovative enough. It is a personal project, but now are your personal projects serious enough that it can be, you get what I mean? As in every project finally is a client's personal project finally.
Yeah.
So it just depends on how serious you take that project and how well you've documented that project. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think the key there is documentation of the project, right? Have you documented who is this project for? What was the problem the project is solving, right? And what are there competitors out there, and things like that. So if you have a product documentation, right, if you don't yet have, is something that you should start investing time in building product documentation for your test product or your personal project and your test project, as you have stated, because you will need them as time goes on, either to present it or to refer back to it, on your own, at your own time and space. So thank you very much. I was going to ask the final question. I think we've run through the questions in the chat. You've thoroughly been good to us, Busola, and thoroughly been vulnerable, sharing your journey and sharing your story. Interesting projects, foldable tables, interesting project. I was going to ask, in terms of when you got the first feedback, which was not successful, right? How did you take it? And how did you appeal it? Did you tell a different story in your application? Was there, can you remember what was wrong that you needed to correct? Just to encourage someone here who probably has applied or is planning to apply or has a need for a review. How did you go through this process?
Okay, first, I took it with faith, in good faith. So what I did was, when I saw it, I remember texting my friend to say, my application is yet to be approved. So I was careful not to say was not approved, say is yet to be approved. And then she goes, yes, she likes that language. Like, okay, what next? Said, now, by the time I read the feedback, I felt like the person that wrote this feedback, did the person know me before? Like, was there any, do you understand? And I felt, you know what, I'm going to write this feedback with every, now I took off, let me say it in raw, I took off every form of humility. And I thought I needed to write this feedback with every sense of pride, brag. When I say brag, like brag it up, because at that point I felt, what did I have to lose? I felt like I was already one leg out. At this point, this is the one option to get one leg in. So I was going to brag about, when they say brag, like write your story. That's another thing. So let me put it, sometimes we also underestimate what we have done. we don't see, for example, the way someone has written is a personal project. We kind of like underestimate what we've done. So in responding to there were 4 slots to respond to the review. What I did was I split the statement of the initial statement of rejection into 4, and I decided I was going to respond to each part of it independently, one after the other, and I was going to be very detailed. It took me days to write and review what I'd written about the review. So for example, when they said, this person has a strong background in architecture, I did not deny my background in architecture, but I also did not reinforce that, because in this instance, I was not applying under, there's a global funding category for architecture, which I was not applying to, I was applying to digital. So I reinforced the digital technology within architecture that I've done. Do you see, that was what I did in that instance. In another instance, it was talking about, there's somebody that spoke about my background. I took that chance to, there's a part of your application that has a personal statement. Fortunately, in my personal statement, while I didn't submit some of those as evidences, my personal statements, I wrote about progression. Secondary school, I had a scholarship. University, this is what I did. Just writing generally, secondary school, I had a scholarship. I was on a scholarship for secondary school at university. I had graduated tops, like had a first class in architecture and I did a distinction in masters. I mentioned that. What else after that? Well, you know how that's also, it's important than your personal state. This is same thing, going back to talking about the evidences, talking about personal state. Just in everything, put your best foot forward. Don't leave out, put every detail that is going to help. Because in that instance, I wrote about being, by the time I wrote for review, I wrote about being a child prodigy, winning scholarships to, even in university where, now this context is quite native to Nigeria, where JAMB, after writing JAMB, you're not selected. Like JAMB, I wasn't selected on the first list, I was selected on the second list, probably I was selected on the last list to eventually study architecture. So I wrote that as saying, even with admission, and that was like after a review, because it wasn't on the first list and I still graduated tops. So I was acknowledging that I know that this is a review, but you would not regret granting me this, you would not regret granting my application and this. So I put that in a subtle way to say, this is what I've done. Then also writing about the projects. At that point, I referenced the kind of projects I was working on, that these are not conventional projects. Yes, they were not mainstream, the most common of projects, but I now in seeing, which was part of the feedback, I acknowledge the feedback, but I acknowledge it from a point of strength. So that's the thing, putting yourself in a point of strength to say, yes, these are not conventional projects, but because they are not conventional is why they are innovative, is why they are impactful, is why they are different. And that is why you should give me a consideration. So imagine someone says, yes, you're not doing what everyone is. You say, yes, I'm not doing what everyone is doing. And that is why you should give me this, because this, like, reiterating what the person is saying, but reiterating from a point of strength. So that was my approach to responding to the reviews. For every comment in the review, that was my approach to it. And consistently referring back to what I had written in my personal statements or what I had written in part of the evidences. And I'll also ensure to state that I submitted 9 full evidences that had 9 projects. That way emphasizing that people I tried now. So that was my approach to that. And also the mindset of, we are here, right? I think this is where we are. Not much to lose at this point. So.
All right. Thank you very much, Busola. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for inspiring us with your stories. Amazing. So if you want to join, I've dropped on the chat the various link. Please join the Telegram or and request that you should be added to the WhatsApp link. Once you scroll up, you would find the various link that you can use to join our community, right? The WhatsApp group is a closed group, so you won't be able to join unless you are added to that group. So please join the other groups, then request to be added to the WhatsApp group or link. So thank you, Busola. The last question I know I've said this before now, but if you can tell us briefly, it's just a traditional question we ask people, right? There are typically 3 people in the room, right? Those that are switching, they're beginner levels in tech, and they're trying to ask, is this worth it? For me, can I meet up? Do I have what it takes? And also there is also intermediate level and people that are switching into tech that are wondering, will I be lost in this journey? And there are the third set are professional executives, C-suite leaders who are contemplating, is this worth the risk? In a sense, the global talent visa specifically now is what we're looking at. What would you say to this category of people briefly, to this category of people? One, tech enthusiasts trying to get into tech or just going into tech. Intermediary has been in tech, has a bit of traction to show it can easily pass for exceptional promise. And a C-suite leader who is looking at, who has all the requirement, but they are wondering, is technician what it's, what would you say to them?
Absolutely. I mean, personally, I thank my stars. I thank God that I came into the UK on this route, because even when I came in I had an initial rough, like trying to settle in the UK, another initial rough patch. And if I had come in on any other visa routes again and again, that rough patch will have been a valley, literally, because the restrictions, the flexibility of the visa, that cannot be overemphasized. The flexibility of the visa, that cannot be overemphasized. Let me put it, even in this form, is that if you're ever out of job for 6 months, you're still insulated with the visa. Or if you're you have that next breakthrough idea while you're in the UK, and you just need some time to build that idea or some time to think about ideas. And with the technician visa, you can, within that period where you're trying to build that, you can be sleeping and waking up to dream about that idea, and you're not under pressure. Meanwhile, on a lot of other types of visas, which are good, if you have them, it's fantastic. But if you can't get this, it gives you more flexibility, then why not? If you can put in what it has, if you can put in what it takes, which most of us can, really, most people can, it's about what you're doing and what you've been doing, then it is worth it. So I had initial time where I had not started working, where I was still working on the product, where I was trying to put together myself. I was also actively applying for roles, and it dawned on me that probably was the period where I really appreciated the value of the visa, because that period, at least I was not under pressure. I wasn't counting days to be out of the country. I wasn't counting days to figure out the next thing to do. The next thing to do was when I was working on the table. I was finishing up the table. I could take some time to build that thing that you're sleeping on in your mind, and you're waking up, and you don't feel like you're under pressure, because there's no restriction on you must earn money, or you must pay money, or you must this, or you're tied to a company. That restriction is not there. So you literally gives you the highest amount of flexibility. And even in situations of uncertainty, things that we don't plan for, it also gives you some flexibility, especially if you're already a high flyer, you're already a global talent, you're already doing a lot in technology, then why not? If you can qualify, if you can put in what it takes for it. And either way, you're going to do the work anyway, in one way or the other. So I would say definitely, please go for it. Is worth it. Yeah, and you can drive back to Nigeria if you need to visit parents, visit family, visit at any point.
Yeah.
You can literally jet out the next day without too much of explanation. Or shall I take the right permissions and you move?
Thank you, Busaya Drojaye. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for allowing us steal you for this longer time. I know it's late in the evening in the UK, and this is a lot of sacrifice. Joining us and sharing your journey with us. Thank you very much. This has been an exciting conversation, and you've given us guides, you've given us tips, and you've given us reasons to chase the global talent visa. If we're looking at migrating to the UK, you've given us a reason to also migrate to the UK, the flexibility around the visa, and all the information you have shared has been very valuable. So thank you very much. And hopefully you can find time to volunteer and coach tech executive or executive from every other sector that are looking into tech, and by sharing your journey and some tips with them personally, either in a private session or in a group call where you can share your experience with them and help point them in the right direction. Thank you very much. Before we call it a day, just wanted to speak a bit about being globally attractive, right? What Busola has shown to us is you can prepare and you can present yourself as a globally attractive talent, as a global talent that can fit into any ecosystem by appraising yourself correctly and by putting your best foot forward. The technician visa gives you a pathway to settlement in the United Kingdom. It allows you move with your family, right? It allows you start a startup, do business. It allows you work for any organization, and you can control how much you want to earn. It is friendly to beginners if you're looking at the opportunities involved, because we have exceptional promise. And yes, we can discuss various options and various alternatives if you're up to it. If you join the community again, the tech eMigr8 community, we can expand more on this because of presentation. We have to just put a short list. This list is by no means exhaustive. You can travel. You have 6 months in the year that you can live outside of the UK if you so choose, right? And these are all things that you won't find in any other. Most of the other visa routes available out there, right? We have a waiting list. I shared the link before now. The tech-enabled visa landscape documentation. You want to go through that. We will share more information in the next edition. I'm racing for time. If you join this call and you thought you didn't qualify, I want you to ask yourself again after listening to Busola Dirojai, do you think you are still unqualified? Because we think you are qualified. We just need to help you position your document. We just need to help you appraise all the work you have done, and you would be able to put your best foot forward. So thank you, everyone. If you need help, if you're interested in or you have specific question that you couldn't ask today, please send it via text message or WhatsApp to any of the numbers you have on the screen, and be specific. Don't say hi. Don't send a message and say hi. You can say, hi, my name is XYZ. I'm interested in knowing XYZ about Technician. I'm applying, and we can respond to you comprehensively, right? And we're busy. There are a lot of people to attend to. So when you say hi, we are not sure what question you're asking. So please be intentional with your question and be specific. So this edition we focus more on Technician and focus more also on on Technician and things you need to know, things you need to have, how to prepare, and encouraging you also on the flexibility of the journey. So if you need further help on Technician and visa endorsement process, or you need help in a review process, right? Review process that you have applied, and like Busola said, you haven't gotten your endorsement yet, right? And you want to respond to that letter. We have coaches that can help you proofread and help you respond based off of the evidences that you have submitted initially, right? To speak with us is free. And if you're on this call at this time, please join any of the link, join any of the ecosystem, and we would gift you a 30-minute call session with any coach to ask one question, right? To ask a question that will help facilitate your application further along. So thank you everyone. Thank you for spending the day with us. The next edition, we're going to be focusing on startup visa for Canada. So if you're interested, if you're in the tech ecosystem, you're interested in the Canadian ecosystem, whether you want to work there or you want to relocate to Canada, we'll be speaking extensively in the next open day on Canada. Please invite your friends, put out notice to them, let them block their calendar. It's typically going to be the mid of the month of September. So look out for that, and we will send communication materials through our social media handles and our email marketing communications also. All right, so thank you. Have a great day, everyone, and see you at the top.